It's Fully Threaded Radio, episode 197.
That's exactly what happened both on the Canadian and U.S. side. Those infrastructure projects, as you try and get money out through the government, it's like pouring water through a sponge.
The point is that if you're working hard to just maintain and just understand your current level of business to sustain that, you're not really looking to expand.
And we're passionate about it, Eric. We want to see, we think, domestic manufacturing can not only be price competitive if we get smart and efficient as manufacturers and, of course, safe, and we can compete with the overseas items, and maybe not on everything, but on a lot of it when you're talking about structural waterworks, bridge work, oil and gas. There's no reason why the American manufacturing base can't meet the demand that is here in the United States.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. If you buy, sell, manufacture, import, distribute, think about frequently industrial threaded fasteners, this is the podcast for you, and we're so glad you clicked in. Hey everybody, Eric Dudas with you, coming to you from semi-rural Northeast Ohio, and the co-host of Fully Threaded is with us as well. He's a lifetime honorary Texan and code slinger, Brian Musker. Hey, brother, you doing all right?
I'm very good, and I'm even better because I had a chance to brush up my Texan. Though I have to say, I don't think it made it's still failing a little bit.
That's right. We were down in Austin last week talking to some actual Texans, and I don't know if they were buying the whole honorary Texan thing at first.
No, I think they were thought it was pretty crappy, the whole idea, actually.
Well, based purely on the accent, yeah, we weren't fooling them. Once they heard the story, they were cool with it, though, Brian.
Right. That was cool. It was very good.
Yeah, it was a great trip. Got a lot of big, important FCH things done that will be unfolding over time. We're not going to really dwell too much on that one on this episode, Bri. Got a lot of other good stuff to cover on this episode 197 of the Fully Threaded Radio podcast. We'll be publishing about February 20th or so, 2024. And minimal prattle on this one from Brian and Eric due to, again, that trip and a few other things going on around here. But we do have some things to talk about with our good friend, Jason Baines from Lanfranco.
The man who makes all the nuts and bolts and things for railway and carriages.
And he has more fun doing that than most people could imagine. Talks about the nuts in every way you can imagine and some that you probably shouldn't be. Jason Baines, Lanfranco, our feature today.
Cool.
We cover quite a bit on this one. You'll like it. It's also kind of a double feature because we're going to launch today with a conversation with Chris McCaffrey. He, of course, with Atlanta Rod.
Of Birmingham Fasteners.
That's right. He's a guy a lot of people know in the industry, and we hooked into something he shares with us on this discussion today to set the theme. Has something to do with flying squirrels, you'll no doubt guess. And it folded in nicely to Jason's general demeanor and so forth, So, thematic, entertaining, fastener jam-packed. You're going to love it. Chris McCaffrey. And if this sounds too light, we've got some fastener gravitas to drop on the episode today, too, as Brighton Best International President Jun Xu joins Mike McNulty on the Fastener News Report. If you've seen the Fastener Distributor Index, the January numbers came in. John and Mike go over those. Hint, I don't know what's going on, but things are looking pretty good for the fastener industry right now, so they'll cover that. And, of course, Mike's got all the headlines. And as always, Carmen Vertullo's got the Fastener Training Minute. All this for the low admission fee of absolutely nothing. Why? Because it's brought to us by our fine list of sponsors. There are partners in all of this, plus everything we do with FCH, the FDI, etc. Bri, you've got all that. Please shout it out.
Yes, and if you are thinking of buying fasteners and you like listening to Fully Threaded, then you should really think of these sponsors. They're important people who supply fasteners to the industry in the United States, and they have enabled us to bring this to you by being sponsors, okay? Think of them first. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, Gerbil Fasteners, and Star Stainless Screw Company. Brighton Best International, tested, tried, and true. Gerbil Fasteners, quality the first time. Star Stainless Screw Company, right off the shelf. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, InSequel Software, J. Lanfranco, Parker Fasteners, 3Q Inc., Volt Industrial Plastics, Worth Industry North America, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man.
Thank you, sir. And as Brian said, anytime you're looking to make a fastener acquisition, think of these guys first. Let us know what you think of the podcast, folks, or if you have comments, questions, and so forth. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. We'd be glad to get your message. So speaking of Solution Man, Bri, Solution Industries is the home of Solution Man.
All right.
Got a message here from Tim Vath over there, and he was, of course, everybody knows Fastener Fair USA is coming to Cleveland May 22nd and 23rd. It's going to be a blast, and the big parties at the Fastener Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So Tim and his band, his brother's in there, and it's a solid, tight group. They rocked it out last time Fastener Fair was here. They're up again, and he told me that this is kind of an exclusive I think we're dropping. It's not widely known. He's the bass player in the band, of course, and he's got a brand new axe for this gig.
Okay.
That's right. And cool thing about this new bass that he'll be wielding is the custom Solution paint job.
Okay, sounds very cool.
Yeah, so he's pretty psyched to show this thing off. So yet another reason to hit Fastener Fair USA and the welcome reception at the Fastener Hall of Fame.
As if you needed another reason.
You really don't, but Tim just gave you one.
Yeah.
Again, that's May 22nd, 23rd, fastenerfairusa.com. Of course, we'll be there, and we'll have Jason's booth, I think, is right near us in Sequel. It's going to be great. Oh, and one other, before we scoot out of here for a break, one other note related to one of our partners. Had the opportunity to drop in on Tony Martinez over at Buckeye Fasteners last week.
Cool.
Yes, I'm very glad I did that. We also headed over to the Ohio Nut and Bolt facility, which is a little ways across town, not too far, but I wanted to see that overnight equipment that they're running. And needless to say, it was amazing. And I tell you, it's been several years since I walked through that heading operation they've got over there, and it's come a long way. I mean, it was amazing when I was there the first time, and they've really reorganized things and added a lot of equipment.
I don't think I've been there. You kept that to yourself.
I think we were there together. I think Marty took us there maybe 12, 14 years ago. You might not remember. We've been to so many at this point.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed was in the room where they were doing all the stainless, the first time we went, it was kind of hazy in there, and they've put all this state-of-the-art HVAC equipment in there, so all those machines are shrouded now.
Ah, okay.
So it's a lot less hazy.
And much healthier.
I would expect. That's a subject that we really don't hear very much talked about in the fastener industry. I wonder if there's any kind of like Hederman syndrome or something.
I would think that the only thing is the floating around in the air is the sort of the bits of droplets of the oil for that sort of protect the bolts as they're running through the machines and being pressed.
Well, there's plenty of oil flying around those places. Every time I go, I make the mistake of wearing a shirt that I shouldn't be wearing, and I get some grease or oil smeared on it, and there goes another one. But
right.
It's still something you got to do. Okay, so one other thing that I want to mention about this is they're dropping a new SACMA header machine over there at Ohio Nut and Bolt, and this is a substantial piece of equipment. This is going in the near future, and it's been quite a journey of their deciding to do this and then speccing it out and then ordering it. Now it's on its way, and it'll be set up pretty soon. So we're going to do some coverage of this process, and I'm very much looking forward to this. This could be kind of a first of a new type of thing that we cover with Fully Threaded.
Right. You'll be telling me about that sometime offline, I presume.
Yeah, I'm just dropping it on you here. I kind of forgot about it. Too many things swirling around, but that was really cool. So Tony showed me a lot of stuff. Also, Bri, I found out that unrelated to fasteners, or indirectly, should I say, Tony's quite the pork shoulder guy. That's what he likes to throw on the smoker.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, we went out to lunch. Of course, the subject of barbecue came up, so...
Well, as you know, we went out to lunch just on our way back to the airport in Austin, and we're given a choice of going to just really good Texas barbecue or more upmarket Texas barbecue. We chose the really good, and it was one of these typical places that you find in Texas where it's sort of pretty ordinary inside, and the tables have got just old red and white paper on them. Your food gets dumped on the table, no plates, anything like that. We had brisket, and it was very, very good brisket. It was very good.
I was, of course, impressed with the quality of the brisket, but I was also really checking out that 114-pound yellow catfish they had on the wall.
Yeah, that was sort of big.
So Texas. Anyway, Tony has this annual party over at his place, and he invites all his buddies over, and it sounds like he pulls out all the stops, and he taught me a couple of things about his technique. See, I'm more of a brisket guy myself. I mean, I don't just enjoy eating it, I mean making it. And I'm going to have to take some of his ideas and throw a few shoulders on the smoker this year. Got inspiration in more ways than one, put it that way.
Okay, that's good. Inspiration relating to smoking is good, okay?
You never know what you'll pick up when you head out to a fastener manufacturer / distributor. And we've picked up quite a bit over the years. And hey, folks, we hope you've picked up a lot from the podcast. And we thank you so much for being here. We'll take a quick break at this juncture. And when we return, talk with Chris McCaffrey of Atlanta Rod. It's Fully Threaded
Radio.
2 men, 1 server, a fastener dog, and a stunning lack of more lucrative alternatives. It's Fully Threaded Radio.
Emphasizing the crucial role of U.S.-made materials and reinforcing strong ties with American manufacturers, Star Stainless expands our line of domestic products: domestic button socket cap screws, domestic socket set cup points, and domestic flat sockets are in stock now. Contact Star to find out more.
Gerbil Fasteners has consistently increased its stock inventory in Houston, Texas, as well as focused on developing new, innovative battery-powered cordless tools to improve industry efficiency. Our company's strategy is to provide a level of quality and innovation that stands out among the rest. If you are interested in being part of a brand that is revolutionizing the industry, make sure to contact Gerbil Fasteners today to see what we have to offer. Gerbil Fasteners, the leading rivet source.
The U.S. Anchor brand has over 45 years of history, providing quality anchoring products sold through various distribution channels. The product range is comprehensive, including light, medium, and heavy-duty offerings, ideal for construction and industrial applications. Our flagship Ultra Wedge Plus wedge anchor has obtained the prestigious ICC-ES approval for cracked concrete, as well as the Miami-Dade County approval. The state of Florida, city of LA, and state of California have all approved the Ultra Wedge Plus. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best International.
Hi, this is Deb with 3Q Inc., your source for a wide variety of U.S.-made parts from the heart of the fastener industry. You're listening to Brian and Eric on Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you, having more fun than a Skidmore Wilhelm bolt tension calibrator on a trampoline.
You're talking to Carmen again.
It's Fully Threaded.
Never heard Carmen say anything about that.
I'm always talking to Carmen, man. He's always like in my other ear, it seems like.
Okay.
Something's always going on with him. I actually was on his Fastener Experts group. Actually, I missed the last one. I'm thinking of the one before, but he was talking quite a bit about bolt tensioning and all that. I guess that's why it was stuck in my mind. Speaking of Carmen, he's doing great on his training for the upcoming Rugged Maniac race in August. He started training in the fall. I mean, he's going really, really serious about this. He's dropping pounds. He's training. He's doing well.
Well, he's dropped lots of pounds, okay? And that's not easy, as I know.
Well, you're doing a pretty good job, too. I had a chance to compare notes with you on the plane when we were flying back from Austin. And I'll tell you, while we're on kind of the subject of training and fitness in general, I got a couple of messages from some folks who were talking about the idea of doing this race in August. Sounds like they had their sights set and January came and they were going to get going, and now February's here. And I don't know, just a little discouragement I was detecting. I just want to say to you guys, it's too early to get sad about what's going on with your training. I mean, if you fell off your original plan, look, it's still February.
Yeah, get back on the carriage.
Get back on it. You can do it. It's a new year. Don't give up. I was actually talking to Carmen about this a little bit, Bri. We're going to set up a call, and it'll follow the experts meeting, and it's going to be for fitness. We'll call it the Fastener Fitness Call. I don't think it's going to be as frequent as what he's doing. We haven't worked out all the details, but There's some folks out there in the fastener industry, I think, who would appreciate it. I know GQ would jump on. A lot of people ask him for advice, and he'll do it. There's several others, That's what we're going to do.
Okay, good.
Don't give up, folks. It's only February. Get in there. And when Bob starts calling for signups, get your name on there. It'll be a lot of fun.
And you don't have to be a participant, really, even though that's much better. You can always join Lynn and I and run around and take photos and things and just be encouragement spectators, okay?
Brian and Lynn, official sponsors of the official pit team.
Yeah, right.
Of the Fastener Mud Racers.
That's true.
And, speaking of all this, I kind of swerved into it. We're going to talk with Chris McCaffrey now, and I don't think he says it during our conversation here, but he told me he's on for this year. So he's 100% going to be doing the race, so yet another reason to join in.
Good.
Team keeps growing every year, so this will be the fourth one. And with that, why don't we get over to this conversation with Chris McCaffrey, Atlanta Rod.
Why not?
And we're talking with Chris McCaffrey. He's a sales manager at Atlanta Rod. Chris, how are you?
Eric Dudas, I'm doing fine, man. How's it going? It's good to be here.
It is. It took us long enough. How long have we been threatening to do this?
Oh, gosh, I think it's been at least a month.
Well, geez, I ran into you in Detroit, I remember, and we actually framed out I thought at the time it was a hilarious segment we were going to do, and now I don't even remember what it was, but it wouldn't be relevant, and hey, we got a whole new set of stuff to talk about. Welcome aboard.
Hey, thank you, man. It's great to be here. I remember the last time I've been on the podcast once before, and I'm thinking it was 2018, if I'm correct. It was 2018. Ryan and I did it from my previous employer, and that was a lot of fun. We talked skateboarding and all kinds of California adventures.
Yeah, we went a little Joe Rogan on that one, if I recall. That was fun.
Yes.
So you guys actually shifted, and you're back with the same company again, or under the same umbrella again, you and Ryan.
Yeah, it's crazy. In after COVID of 2020, where we were all working at home, especially if you're in sales, you were probably working at home from March on. And during that time, my wife and I said, "Hey, let's go east." And so I put a plan to the company at the time and said, "Hey, most of our customers are east, and I'd like to move east so I could, get around quickly and see customers, and I'll come back to Cali once a quarter." And by golly, Eric, they said yes. So in March of 2021, we packed up and headed east to South Carolina, and life kind of has been a roller coaster ever since, man. It's been crazy.
Wow.
And part of that was a career change, and from R&D Fasteners, which is a wonderful company, and I will always love those guys. 20-year long relationships there. But now working for the Birmingham group of companies has been pretty life changing and a fresh new start. 20 plus years into the Fastener career.
Yeah, well, we'd like to hear a little bit about the way that you're set up over there at Birmingham, because a lot of people know Birmingham. Hey, I mean, it's a venerated name in the industry, but you've got a whole slew of companies under Birmingham. And I don't know, what was it, last 3-4 years, you were on a real headhunting mission over there.
Yeah, it's we're privately held by a gentleman who's a very brilliant businessman, young, high energy, Brad Tinney, and he inherited the company from his father, who left him just a wonderful business. And Brad's really taken it to the next level, and his strategy has been to bring in the best possible people he can. And along the way, there's been a couple of companies that he acquired, and oh, shoot, it was a year ago, we purchased Pacific Coast Bolt in Santa Fe Springs. And at the time, after that purchase went down, we needed the best bolt guy on the West Coast when it comes to manufacturing and distribution. And that was, of course, my brother. So I kind of facilitated that handshake, and then got right out of the way.
That works kind of nice.
Yeah, it's incredible, because I got to tell you, Eric, one of the amazing things about this industry is the relationships you have. And to be able to work, hand in hand with my brother, Ryan, for 20 years was one of the most special things you can have in a career. And we're very close friends. And when I said goodbye to R&D, I never in my wildest dreams thought that we would circle back around and be on the same team again. And so you just got to, thank your lucky stars. And when they align like that, it's been pretty incredible, really surreal.
How cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So that worked out really well for you guys, for sure. And then now, how did Barron get dragged into Birmingham? Because you guys are there. This is now the Battle of the Beards, although Ryan did shave his down a little, I noticed from LinkedIn.
Yeah. Ryan keeps his nice and tight. I let mine ebbs and flows, Eric. It depends on the on my mood. But moving into the Southeast, there's a lot of bearded characters around. So I got special permission to see if I could compete with a big beard. But honestly, I get the temptation to keep cutting it back. But yeah, Barron is the master of beards. He actually came into the Birmingham group of companies before I did. He, run Champion Gasket down there in Houston. And that was, I just think, a wonderful move for him. I'll let him tell you the story on how that all went down. But he ran Champion and got them through some nice projects, a nice growth stage. They built a new building down there and added capacity. And, they make rubber gaskets for the waterworks industry. But exciting news for Barron, it was just announced on LinkedIn that he has been promoted. I guess it's a promotion. It's a lateral move, but he has taken over the general manager role at KT Bolt. So he's getting back in the bolt game. Our gentleman who ran KT and owned KT for many, many years, Randy Peck, is retiring officially. And so Barron is going to take that job. And I can't think of a better gentleman, fastener guru, fastener freak, the bearded nut himself to run a manufacturing division. So I know he's excited to be back in the bolt game, and we're certainly excited to have him back in the bolt game. We work really closely with those guys over here at Atlanta Rod, and so that's pretty exciting. And it's just a testament, to the opportunities with this organization that they try to put the right person in the right seat. And so he's pretty stoked.
Yeah, it was great to see him get that bump up. Well, I've known him for a few years now, and it's pretty obvious right from the beginning that he was destined for greatness in this business, especially starting off at a young age on the manufacturing side and getting to know it really hands-on and really playing every role over there, probably even including toilet cleaner at the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember when he came in, he spring bolt, it was always, ran under the radar. And of course, my previous company, we're direct competitors. And so, to try to get intel on spring was always a challenge. And then this young cat, internet savvy with the social media, starts working sales, and he starts posting spring bolt stuff. And that got us to get connected and become friends. And he was chasing us down for a lot of years, and he did a good job at it. And, but now to be circle 10 years, 12 years later, and we're on the same team is pretty cool.
One thing that I remember always is occasionally after the Vegas show when we were all breaking down, our booth was always super simple to take down, tear apart and everything. And Barron would be over there all by himself, and they knew how to do bolts. They did not know how to set up a trade show for ease of breakdown, right? So literally he had to take this whole thing apart. I mean, he had a socket kit out, and it was like a 4-hour job. And then on top of the complexity, these are enormous structural bolts and nuts and everything. I mean, some of these things weighed like 80 pounds, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, his cases, it was insane.
Yep. The trade show guru.
Live and learn, right?
That's right, man.
Make all those mistakes. Well, you lived and learned a little bit this weekend, right? One of the things that caused the delay yet again in our getting together for this segment, I heard you're flying with a squirrel. What's this all about? What did I hear? I mean, you got the beard for it, flying around with a squirrel on a plane, but what's the story behind this, Chris?
Well, if you can picture this, I fly out for a weekend visit to see a customer, and this particular customer is a buddy, and they're having in their small town a fundraiser for their local hospital. It's a rural hospital, and they have this nice dinner. They call it, boots and bling, and everyone gets together and they auction off crazy stuff. And I come prepared to give because I'm a giver. I'll dig deep for a good cause. And so I'm bidding, and I'm getting outbid by these big time rollers. So it's getting close to the end of the night, and almost all the items are gone. And I'm thinking, oh man, I didn't have a chance to contribute. I'm going to just give some cash. And so out walks this Southern Belle lady in her dress and boots and hat, and she's carrying this item with a handkerchief over the top of it. And they start talking about this as the greatest thing since sliced bread. They finally pull the cover off, and it's a taxidermied squirrel holding a taxidermied fish and a fishing pole named Rocky, after Rocky and Bullwinkle. And so this thing starts going on the auction block, and I end up bidding several $100s and taking this thing home with me, which I kept in my lap because I felt like I would break it if I tried to pack it in anything.
Yeah, how are you going to check the squirrel, right?
Yeah, you're not going to check your squirrel. You're going to carry your squirrel at all times. And so I took it to the airport, got to the airport. I don't know, it was the early 6:30 flight, which ended up not boarding until 3:30 in the afternoon. And so it was quite an experience holding this squirrel on my lap for several hours and having the people who were interested. It was like having my own little rock star. Actually, now it's given me an idea. I ought to carry this squirrel around to sales calls, industry events, trade shows, and just kind of keep it around because it does draw in the conversation.
Yeah, it's funny. Later in the episode, we're going to have Jason Baines on. I don't know if you know the joke. Their mascot is a squirrel for obvious reasons. So, I think we have a theme developing here inadvertently, Chris. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything I can do to help, man. I told you, I'm the idea guy.
Well, thank you, because when we were warming up for this, one of the things you were mentioning is kind of on your mind these days, fastener-wise. We'll get away from the stuffed animals, but you were saying that something that is being talked about out there, something that you guys at Atlanta Rod and beyond are really experiencing, is the fallout from some of the nearshoring, reshoring, the push in domestic manufacturing, let's put it that way, which is something that you're glad to see. But tell us about it. What are you seeing out there?
Well, at Atlanta Rod, we're passionate about domestic manufacturing. Pretty much all the material, as far as the stainless and the alloys, grade 55s, 105s, stainless steels are 100% domestic. And that's what we take to market. So we definitely love the news of onshoring. We go after the AIS work, the BABA work, where the federal dollars dictate, when the federal dollars go to the jobs, it dictates 100% domestic. And that's where we really like to play. And we're passionate about it, Eric. We think, domestic manufacturing can not only be price competitive if we get smart and efficient as manufacturers, and of course safe, and we can compete with the overseas items, and maybe not on everything, but on a lot of it. When you're talking about structural waterworks, bridge work, oil and gas. There's no reason why the American manufacturing base can't meet the demand that is here in the United States. And there's a place for import, but where I really spend my time and focus is on the domestic side. And we even spend time, at the EPA in Washington, and spend time with the EPA director talking about these issues and how American manufacturing can meet the demand and also follow the law. So it's a big deal to us, and that's where we like to play.
Well, speak on that a little bit. Are you guys experiencing kind of a welcome mat for this by the EPA and any other regulatory folks? I mean, what are you seeing in that area?
Oh, 100%. 100%. What we found is the EPA has been aggressive to want to hear what the manufacturers have to say. They want to make sure that the capacity is there. That's one of their biggest questions is, hey, is the capacity there to meet the demand for these projects that are coming up? And then we show, the capacity map and what we have available for it. And that case is easily made. Because when it comes to BABA, the Build Back Better bill that Biden passed here a couple of years ago.
Oh, please.
It requires if it's a federal dollar, now it hasn't gotten off the ground like it should, but the guts of the domestic, we like that a lot. And if it's federal dollars, it's going to require domestic material. But one of the deals is that you can get a provision as a contractor that if domestic's not available, you can import. So that's where we go and have the ear of the EPA to show that the capacity is there and the delivery requirements can be met to obey by the law. So that's kind of where we put our influence, so to speak.
Well, how about on the street? I mean, you're pounding the pavement all the time. You're a sales guy and you're talking to customers. Are you seeing demand increase? Are you hearing people talk about it? I mean,
well, we listen to ITR, the Bolio brothers, and we're experiencing very close to what they've been talking about. Obviously 2022 was a banner year for all of the Birmingham companies. 2023 was closer to the 2021 level, so we saw a dip there. And we're optimistic for 2024, but we're seeing that it's probably going to be flat to last year. But saying that, as a sales guy, we don't have infinity capacity in the Birmingham group, and there's certainly going to be enough work if we're smart. We can get our name out there, we can meet the need and the delivery requirements and get a look at the RFQs that there's enough business to fill our capacity. So I don't pay too much attention to the market buzz on whether it's going to be a good year or bad year, because even in a low year, we can find the business. We can find something to put on our machines. So that's really the aggressive approach that we take is we go out and look for it. No question about it. But saying that, Eric, the bid activity is extremely strong. We're quoting a lot of packages. We see a lot of work come through. But the actual jobs that are breaking ground have been slow. So, we're picking up what we can, but we're staying consistent, and it's been busy. It's just not as busy as we would like. And of course, the measure to that was 2022.
Right. A weird baseline to go off of for sure.
You really can't. It was a crazy year, but it was so good that, we want to get back to that.
So we were talking earlier, and I know you heard Bob Baer talking about the FDI wrap up for 23, but he was referencing this idea of nearshoring and reshoring as well. And he used as an example for why that's happening, or a possible reason, sort of the sense that things are heating up in Asia and people want to cover their bases, basically. I mean, that's what I'm really curious about. Are you hearing that same thing? I mean, does anything that you're hearing reinforce what Bob was saying on the last episode?
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk too intelligent about that because I really don't get involved in the distribution side or the import side, but I can tell you that we've sent, several people to Asia to see, because Birmingham has quite a large distribution side as well, and we do import and stock import products on the distribution side. And they've been making plenty of trips to Asia and doing their due diligence, no question. It's definitely a hot spot. I just don't know a whole lot about it. I'm probably not the guy to to put the 2 cents in on it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you shoot it straight, Chris. Well, I know something that you do know a little bit about, and last episode also we had Joe Morris and Valdez on, and they were talking about the Fastener Training Institute and the Fastener Week and all that, and we went on and on about it. We don't have to do another whole segment on it, but in the process, it was mentioned that you're connected in a big way with the FTI these days, and I'd forgotten that when we set up the original segment. So how did that happen? How'd you get involved, and what are you doing with the Fastener Training Institute?
Well, how it came together was, I was on the board of the Pac West for 3 years or so, whatever the term was. I think it was 3-year term. And during that time, there were several people on that board that were also part of FTI. And of course, FTI was birthed out of Pac West. And so when I came off the Pac West board in 2018, I joined onto the FTI board as a board member. And so I've been a part of FTI on the board for quite some time, since 2018, and the last year and a half as the president of the organization. So that's been a lot of fun. Being in the manufacturing side of things, we've always been passionate about fastener training, industrial fastener training specific to our industry. And FTI really, met that need. As a manufacturer, I was able to use FTI as a resource, and not only that, partner with them in tours and things over the years. And so I became, close to John and Joe, who run Desert Distribution. You know them well, heroes and titans of the industry. And so I just, as the president of the board, we give oversight. We have a amazing board of directors at FTI of some of your favorite people that come together, and we give a little oversight, help make some of the decisions. But really, it's Joe Morris that brings the heat there and does the heavy lifting, and we're so lucky to have her. She makes the board's job pretty easy.
Well, she was certainly excited about this new learning, framework that you're throwing up, and it sounded great. And, we've been talking off and on for the last several episodes on the topic of AI, and she didn't mention anything specifically about that, but I certainly have been thinking about it. And I wonder, as the president, you're going to be guiding a lot of this stuff along. Do you have any thoughts about how AI might be contributing over time in passing some of this institutional or enterprise knowledge along to some of the younger folks that we're trying to bring in?
Well, I think we've got to use it smart. As manufacturers, we're starting to incorporate it into our software. We're starting to incorporate it into our safety systems, our EHS programs. But as far as having it do the hard thinking of planning and strategy and, what we're going to make in our shop, we're not using it for that, but we're trying to capture AI where it makes sense to make us leaner and quicker with administrative type tasks or calculation type tasks. On the AI note, if you're not using GPT, you're probably going to be behind the times. So I think it's important to kind of master those new technologies as they come out. But we got to keep them in their proper place. And I don't want to slow down technology. I'm not afraid of it. But what I don't want to see is where AI creates more problems than it helps by using it too fast.
Well, everybody's feeling around for that boundary. Nobody knows quite where it is. Do you have a killer app that you're using right now? I mean, not an app, but an application. Are you putting it to good use in your day-to-day work?
What we're doing at Atlanta Rod is we're on a mission to be the safest fastener manufacturer in the world. That is our goal. It's our corporation goal. It's what we measure our goals off of. What we set our activities around is safety. We want every employee to come into work and leave completely whole physically and mentally, and that's what drives our decisions. And so wherever we can use AI to incorporate there, we will. And to give kind of a example of that would be using robotics in place of human hands doing dangerous activities, and having AI help run those robotics efficiently is a big goal for us.
Well, very cool. Well, look forward to seeing how you guys roll that out, because I know that there's a lot of people thinking about it over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but we're trying to use it where we can bring basically safety applications first and see where it goes from there.
What else are you thinking about over there at Atlanta Rod, or just in general on the Birmingham team? We'll wrap up with a chance for you to tee off on everything good happening over there.
Well, let's see. What are we thinking about over at Atlanta Rod? We want to grow this year. We want to grow the company. Atlanta Rod is big in anchor bolts, waterworks, oil and gas, domestic projects, infrastructure, structural. So we're trying to grow in those areas and be real aggressive at it. Bring the marketplace, Eric, a competitive price and then world-class service. And we want to do that with building relationships. And this is quite an industry to build those relationships. What's crazy about our business is at the beginning of the year, we don't always know what our top customer list will look like. That's going to be driven by what projects break around the country, and then who's purchasing the hardware for those projects. So our challenge is to stay in front of everyone and have our name out there and just get a chance to see a bid. And if we can see the bid, we know we have a really good shot at capturing the business. So that's really the big challenge for me this year. And that's driving, strategic sales plans and doing the trade shows and the industry events and all of that stuff. I'm excited. I'm going to be out at the PacWest event in March. Looking forward to seeing all my friends out there in California. It's great to get back to California. It's in Anaheim. So, hey, it's going to be sweet.
City of fun.
Yeah, man, my old stomping grounds. So that's going to be cool.
Well, I'm definitely going to see you out there, Chris. So I'm looking forward to doing something fun out there. I don't know what it'll be, but there's so many opportunities. We'll come up with something.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
So you're going to be out there in May at Fastener Fair, I take it?
Yeah, we're going to be at Fastener Fair. We'll be at the Southeast Spring Conference in Charlotte. We'll be doing Fastener Fair. We'll be doing PacWest. I'll be at all those events. So yeah, that's exciting. I love these events because it's a great chance to just put your finger on the pulse of what's going on, rubbing elbows with some of the industry's best. And it's always a good time and encouraging to me.
It's going to be good. Hey, how do folks, well, you're on LinkedIn, you're everywhere pretty much, but you want to drop a website or anything?
Absolutely. We were talking a little bit about Fastener Training. Fastener Training Institute has a really jam-packed 2024 schedule. If you go to fastenertrainingevents.com/training, you can get the schedule there. There's some stuff coming up, really soon here in February with geometric, dimensional, and tolerance training. There's in March, we got a couple events coming up, so please check that out. If you want to learn more about Birmingham or Atlanta Rod, you could go to atlrod.com and get a snapshot of what we do over at Atlanta Rod. And there's a link there. You could go to Birmingham as well. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn if you just search Chris McCaffrey or Birmingham or Atlanta Rod. I'd love to connect with you and talk with you. And it's always fun to exchange emails or texts or phone calls. So I'm pretty much down to how anyone wants to chat. Just reach out to me and that'd be awesome. We could connect.
Or if you see someone in an airplane flying around with a giant stuffed moose.
Yes.
Because that's got to be your next acquisition, right?
Yes. If you see me with my taxidermied squirrel, just come on over and pet my squirrel. It's going to be fine, and we'll have a good time.
All right. Director of Fun from Atlanta Rod, Chris McCaffrey. Good to finally do this.
Yes, sir. Let's do it again soon.
We'll be back in a minute with more Fully Threaded.
At Worth, status quo isn't an option. Worth is a global supply chain solutions provider of fasteners, MRO, and safety products, along with value-added services like kitting and assembly, 3D printing, and engineering assistance. Find out what Worth can do for you at worthindustry.com.
Cut the no quotes out of the equation. Eurolink is your go-to resource for uncommon and hard-to-find metric fasteners that others can't even quote. Contact the sales team at EurolinkFSS.com and get your hard-to-find metric fasteners delivered.
My name is Ashley Parker. I am a member of the sales team at Parker Fasteners out here in Buckeye, Arizona. Parker Fasteners is a quality manufacturer of fasteners such as aerospace, military, commercial, and much more. They could be something that you put in a vehicle, in your eyewear, in computers, and much more. We actually just experienced a 40% growth just in last year. Here at Parker, we take pride in the quality of our product. Doing so, we want every employee to take pride in the product. So we take the time to show you, teach you everything there is to know about screws. It's actually kind of a fun industry. It's a growing industry. The possibilities are endless. Parker Fasteners is forging the future for many years to come, and I encourage you to be a part of that.
Solution Man, Ken.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, Solution Industry. We are Solution.
Charlie Kerr from Kerr Lakeside here. You are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
And it's the news segment. You know, Bri, originally I had 3 potential different guests for this slot, and here it is, just you and me.
Well, that's good in a way.
Well, it's not that bad, but not what I was planning originally. So first I thought, well, we're going to have George Rodriguez on from Brighton, and he'll be promoting the Pac West because that's coming up on March 7th through the 9th, I believe it is, out there in Anaheim. But then I realized, well, that really doesn't make sense because most folks are going to hear this too close to make plans, and I just screwed up the timing on that one. So I figured there's another big event coming on, and we haven't promoted much from SIFA recently. We used to plug those guys all the time. So I reached out to Stephanie down there at the Southeastern Fastener Association. Their conference is coming up April 22nd to the 24th. It's happening in Concord, North Carolina. And she's super jazzed up about their keynote speaker this year at that conference. It's a lady by the name of Meredith Elliott Powell.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Stephanie's jazzed up about this lady, and they're going to play golf and talk about fasteners and do what the SIFA folks usually do, which is have a great time and get to know each other better. So anyway, that didn't work out, scheduling and all that. So my third idea was Craig Beatty, Beatty, I think it's Beatty, but he's been elected to YFP president. So they got a whole new slew of officers with the young fastener professionals. That one didn't work out either, so here it is, just us, and it's the news segment. I guess all those things were newsworthy, so it's kind of par for the course, huh?
Right.
And the news segment has been brought to us by Volt Industrial Plastics for a long time. I actually went out to the Volt website. I was helping Heidi to put a new ad together for her, and I stopped at the homepage, and I hadn't been on that homepage for a little while. And at the bottom of that homepage, there is a video that I would encourage everybody to go and check out. It's right there at voltplastics.com, and it's like 5 minutes long. And this thing, it's like a Hollywood production. It's very, very well done, just like everything that Volt does. But it's really a mini bio of Joe Voltrauer and the family and how they got the business going and the origins with JV Tool up in Chicagoland, how they made their shift down to Arkansas and all that. Absolutely inspiring. You ever want to see the salt of the earth, real people who make the fastener industry go, and your business partners are who they should be? make sure you check this video out, because Joe Volterauer is one of those guys in the industry who's definitely worth knowing about and someone to be inspired by.
And he's built a company up, and it's a great, and not only did he build it up, but he left it in great hands to allow it to continue. And Heidi's that person.
And of course, he still offers his abundant advice to her whenever she needs it. But he stepped back a little bit from the business these days. Volt Industrial Plastics, many thanks. And the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, Global Fasteners, and Star Stainless. Another inspirational voice in this industry, especially when it comes to news headlines and overall being focused on them, is Mike McNulty.
Yeah.
And you know what time it is now, Bri.
Yeah. So for news about screws that you can use, here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Brian and Eric. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. None of these candidates received the most votes in the recent Republican presidential primary in Nevada, possibly foreshadowing a good option for November. And in the short span of 4 days in February of 2024, we were treated to the feasting and fasting options of Super Bowl Sunday, Super Sick Monday, Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, and the subdued Valentine's Day. But I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's algorithm-free Fastener News Report. In this episode, Brighton Best International President Jun Xu joins us to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on Pilgrim Aerospace Fasteners, as well as newsmaker headlines from Nylock, Ramco, Grainger, Hillman, Optimus, Solon Manufacturing, the YFP, MSC, and more. On the back page report, we're going to talk about conferences at trade shows. We'll get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
Hey there, Fastener distributors. This is Heidi Voltrauer from Volt Industrial Plastics. As a fellow fastener industry business, Volt knows you are always on the lookout for ways to help your customer while keeping costs in check. So, why not plastic? Listen, there's no argument that metal fasteners have to be used for certain applications, but when strength isn't the primary concern, why not explore the saving benefits of plastic? You not only save your company money, but also pass those savings on to your valued customers. And the best part is, it's as easy as picking up the phone or sending a quick email. Our team at Volt makes sourcing easy, and we look forward to helping you find exactly what you need when you need it. So, for all of your plastic fastener needs, you know the website, voltplastics.com. And if you guys are going to be in Cleveland, please come by our booth at Fastener Fair, booth number 539. Hope to see you.
US Anchor introduces the Tap King HD. Tap King HD is a large diameter concrete screw anchor suitable for heavy-duty use in concrete substrates. Tap King HD anchors come with ICC-ES approval for cracked and uncracked concrete and is qualified for static, wind, and seismic loading conditions. Ask your BBI account manager for more information. The contractor's choice. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best.
Mike McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for January 2024 recovered with a solid rise to 49.7 versus 47.5 in December. This was, however, the 8th sub-50 result in the last 11 months. The forward-looking indicator, also known as the FLI, also inched up to 50.4 compared to 49.6 the previous month. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insights on these results, we talked to Jun Xu, president of Brighton Best International. Hi, John. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Hi. Thanks for having me back again.
Welcome. It's good to have you back. It's been about almost a year since you were last on, and curious, as well as the listeners are curious, to think what you think about the latest FDI results.
Yeah, no, I think I think the numbers, as I said before, they're always directionally accurate. I think January is slightly more negative than I expected, but I think a lot of it is probably attributed to weather. I remember coming back from the holidays, and the country was like half the country is frozen under ice, right? So not a lot happens when you can't get to work and you can't be out in the environment building things. So I'm not too surprised by it. We do feel like forward looking for this year that there will be some growth this year, although we're not expecting a massive amount of change. But certainly we think later on into the year, there'll be some growth.
We'll jump ahead to the forward-looking indicators that we had. Numbers that were even stronger this month than last month, where we have 54% of the respondents expecting business to be better 6 months from now, 36% expecting it to be the same, and only 10% expecting it to be worse. So those are some of the strongest forward-looking numbers that I can remember coming back from the respondents. Would you concur with that?
Right, I do, and it's I think it's partly why I like to do this in the beginning of the year, because 6 months from now in the summer, and usually the summers are pretty good. But we definitely concur with that. I think generally speaking, the U.S. is on pretty strong footing. Everything in economics is relative in nature, right? And when you look at the rest of the world and kind of what's happening right now, certainly the U.S. is on the right track. I think the two comparable markets, I would say, if you look at China right now, China is, I think, in for a rough transition, mainly driven by demographical issues, right? So if you look at their birth rates per month, I think it was coming in around 9 or 10 million a month. And, if you just take the 10 million number and assume people live for 75 to 80 years, then you're looking at a 750 million to 800 million population, right? So still huge numbers, but it's about half of where they are now. And it's still a huge market, right? It's 800 million people, per capita GDP is probably going to increase. But the transition, I think, will be difficult. And I think that's kind of what they're going through right now. Like if you have half the people, do you really need all these houses to live in, right? And that's sort of a demographical tide that they're going to have to face as the years go on. The other real market is Europe, and Europe is it's a large market collectively, but it's individually it's sort of an odd family, right? So you have all these different countries with histories and grievances and just the way that they look at fiscal policy and fiscal responsibility, it's all very different. And one of the, I think, the bigger issues that Europe is facing is frankly overregulation. I mean, I think in many ways they're overregulating themselves into a recession. Like if you look at all the different rules that are coming out, offhand I could just think of a couple like GDPR. I think that's the data one. You have CBAM, which is the carbon one. I think there was one about the Russian minerals. And nothing to say right or wrong about any of these regulations, but the point is that if you're working hard to just maintain and just to understand your current level of business to sustain that, you're not really looking to expand, right? You're not really looking to grow because you're just trying to figure out how do you maintain your current business. So if you look at that, right, and the two other markets to compare against the U.S. are really Asia and Europe. The U.S. is on pretty strong footing, and we feel that the U.S. is probably going to continue to grow, really into throughout this decade.
Yeah, that's a good point. You bring up the the demographic situation in China and other parts of the world, and in Europe for that matter. Those are things that you can't turn around very quickly. It's like trying to turn a ship around, but they're pretty much ingrained. They're just really like you said, you're gonna have to deal with that for many years. And then the other thing you bring up, overregulation doesn't do anything except choke out growth. So without people and without freedom, it's hard to grow. So
right, regulation is only fair if it's uniform. Right. So, if everyone's faced with the same regulations, then I think it's an equal playing field, but that's not the way the world works. And, and some markets will be more regulated than others. And usually I'd say the U.S. tends to benefit when other parts of the world are going through transitions. Right. So, the U.S. Historically has always been sort of an island, sheltered by two oceans, and you have, friendly neighbors. And for the most part, the U.S. benefits when the rest of the world transitions.
We'll segue to this. I was just at a trade show in Monterrey, Mexico, and it was a general manufacturing show, and they had a pavilion in it for the wire industry, and then there was which is another sector that we cover in another magazine. But they also had a lot of fastener people there as well, and it was really a robust manufacturing environment. Their slogan was for Monterey as the capital of manufacturing. So it was interesting to see all the different types of things that are being made down there, and I think that's really going to bode well in with the like you said, having friendly neighbors and things being in good shape in North America and in the U.S. in particular. So let's take a look at some of the numbers that we got back from the respondents. The sales were basically flat at 50. That kind of ties into what you were saying, that it was kind of bad weather and people slow to come out of the chute after December. Employment went up a bit to 50, and then deliveries were up, and then we had mixed inventory and mixed pricing. Anything you want to any analysis on the actual numbers?
I think we're basically in a period where everyone is facing kind of what they see in their own respective markets. You're not going to get a consistent answer, just because our economy is so diverse, right? Some parts are going to be growing, some parts are going to be contracting, and you take your ups or your downs, and you probably end up at 50, right? So I think that's kind of where we are right now. There's no, from a demand standpoint anyway, there's nothing that is really driving demand in a very consistent fashion. I will say, from a supply side, one of the other sort of geopolitical issues that we're all facing right now is ocean freight. Ocean freight has gone up tremendously really since December. I think we've seen a doubling, if not tripling, of ocean freight coming from Asia. And the main reason is, again, because of, there's two canals in the world, right? The Suez Canal and the Panama Canal. The Suez Canal is effectively being blocked right now because of what's going on in the Middle East. Ships are going around Africa to get to Europe and to the East Coast. And that adds much longer transit times and also cost of fuel and all that. So the Suez Canal is basically blocked, and the Panama Canal actually is it's in a drought. Half the canal is actually a lake, and that lake is in a drought. So large containers, large weight container ships can't go through, and that's another choke point that we're seeing right now. So I mean that would be a supply issue, I think, facing everyone. But from a demand standpoint, I think it's nothing like, after COVID where there was a stimulus check and demand all of a sudden surged across all sectors. And there's nothing like that going on. I think it's all just market based. And, when that happens, people invest, into things that they like. And it could be a whole wide range of things.
Good. The other number that's included in the report is the PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index, and that went up as well, but that has not been above 50 or at 50 for a long time. Is that something that you guys take a look at as well?
Not so much, but I mean, I do think that manufacturing I think it's growing, but it's going to be pretty moderate growth. There's still quite a few headwinds as it regards to manufacturing, right? So, labor rates are high right now. Freight rates are still high. The cost of doing things is still quite high, right? So I think the thought is, let's wait and see where this goes. And I don't think anyone's really doubling down on, expanding capacity right now. I think everyone's just kind of waiting and seeing kind of where this economy goes before making more investment, especially as it relates to manufacturing.
Okay, well let's jump into some of the commentary, and some of it you've already alluded to with the mixed things, some areas being good and bad. The Baird report actually says, while there continues to be a healthy mix of both bulls and bears, on balance, the commentary was skewed slightly more optimistic in January. So the first quote we have is, quote, January started very strong, much different than a year ago, which is good. Another participant said, quote, we experienced extremely highs and lows in the month of January. Overall, it was a positive month, but very hard to predict the finish. Will be interesting to see how the rest of the year will go as the election heats up, end quote. I don't know. There's some people keep bringing up the election. It seems to be it's absurd no matter how you look at it. Right? So
we could talk about an hour just about that. Right. So
a separate thing, really. I think it's not really going to matter that much for manufacturing. And
it's like a slow moving train wreck. I think that's all accurate. Really, again, it just depends on the sector, and I think manufacturing is probably not going to be super hot this year. Maybe come to see which party comes to power or retains power before investing. Because there, I think, are maybe tariff implications or tax implications if you wait. So I think people are kind of waiting to see what happens there. Again, it's really just based on the market at this point. I will say that the other part really is the Fed, right? The interest rates. I think last time we spoke, the Fed was increasing rates quite dramatically, quite quickly. they've held off on reducing rates, and our forecast and our belief is that they're not going to really be reducing rates anytime soon. Really, the economy is pretty healthy right now, and as soon as they start to reduce rates, the economy might heat up again, and they have to increase rates. So what they don't want to do is be inconsistent or appear that they don't know what they're doing, right? So
maybe they don't.
yeah. So really, I think they're waiting for a recession. The only way to really reduce rates is through a recession, I think, because that gives them the rationale, the ammunition to do it. And in some ways, I think, where we are right now, the Fed thinks it's contractory, which is probably true, but, I think they also like having the gunpowder, right? So where we are right now, there's quite a few decreases they can do to fix a problem down the road. If there's no problem to fix, why would you need to reduce it? Right. So I think they're kind of waiting to see down the road what happens. And if there is a sudden shift and we go into a recession, then the Fed has quite a bit of gunpowder or room built up already, their rates.
So they want to save it till it's needed.
Exactly. That's what, we would do, right?
Well, here's a comment on the automotive market. Quote, automotive tier customers continue their pursuit of cost reductions. Heat, treat, and plating subcontractors continue surcharge pass-along increases in energy, end quote. And then the last comment we have is it's talking about OEM fasteners being weaker than MRO. It says, quote, our MRO customers are doing well, while some of our OEMs seem to be struggling across a wide range of markets. We're having slowdowns and putting some of their employees on 4 days a week, hoping not to have layoffs. Some of the concerns are that if they lay them off, when and if business comes back, they won't have the manpower to start back up. While the stock market is doing well, that's not an indication of what the market looks like on the street. Not to be doom and gloom, but some markets that we sell into are doing quite well. Others are struggling, end quote. That's kind of what you were saying a little bit earlier.
Yeah. MRO is really the, stabilizing factor, right? So, that's, to me, I always think of MRO as like the baseline. No matter what, you're going to have to invest in MRO. And given, I think, some of the age of some of our infrastructure and equipment, I think that's probably likely to grow, honestly, as a baseline. So no matter what, you have to maintain what you have. The OEM side of it is really it's more like the gas, right? So there's your baseline. The OEM reflects more the confidence and attitude in the economy, right? So are you going to, step on the gas or are you going to step on the brake? And the OEM side of it, I think, shifts more, if you will. But the MRO is it's base load, right? If you look at energy and energy use, you have your base load and you have your plants that come online when there's peak usage, but MRO is our base load.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. The comment that a little bit interesting to me too is not laying people off, because then you might not be able to find anybody to come back. So
yeah,
ties into the difficulty in getting good workers.
Yeah, especially skilled workers, right? So workers that have trained on your systems, on your equipment. It makes sense. It's going to take months to train new people, and in long term, look at the U.S. and look at the rest of the world. The U.S. should be growing, and I always think of it as like, you're trying to read the waves or you're trying to read the tide, right? So you can stand on the beach and try to predict the next wave coming, but it's really, really hard because it's so sporadic. But if you just take a step back and scale back in time, or scale up in time, if you will, you can see there's tidal shifts, right? And these tidal shifts are much easier to predict. And so if you're trying to time it by predicting the waves, I would say 50% of the time you're probably going to be wrong. But if you take a step back and try to look at it more from a holistic point of view and sort of a larger scale point of view, your chances of being right increases. And I do think, from a waves point of view, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. Even really for the rest of the year, although we do expect some growth. But from a sort of a tidal point of view, the U.S. is on very strong. This is where we need to be. This is where the rest of the world really looks up to in terms of where they want their economy to be right now. And again, the U.S. is usually the beneficiary of investment when the rest of the world is not doing well.
Yeah, I think it's still the envy of the world in terms of, and lots of factors. And I like your references to the ocean and the waves and cars and that. I think people will look at the ocean a little bit differently going forward. In terms, it's really, yeah, like you said, hard to predict, and some things are out of your control.
Yeah, and usually I usually find, just more philosophically, the closer you try to look at something, the more likely you're to be wrong. But if you scale back and you increase your span of view, whether in distance or time or whatever, you can start to see patterns more effectively. So I mean, that's something that hopefully helps everyone when they look at the issues they're facing every day.
Yeah, that is helpful. Good way to look at it and good advice. So, anything else on the FDI or the FLI before we give you a chance to tell the listeners of what's going on at Brighton Best International?
No, I think again we expect not a huge amount of change this year. We think there'll be some growth, and so yeah, I mean we'll see how the rest of the year comes to fruition. We think it'll be a good year.
Good. I noticed there, lots of things going on at Brighton Best. If you go to the website, brightonbest.com, you see, and go to the news section, lots of news and developments. Anything you want to highlight?
I mean, we're growing and investing in the business every year. I think one of the things that we're really excited about is Cleveland is going to be our largest warehouse in the country. We expanded the capacity to about 440,000 square feet now. It's going to have a training center. It's going to have a lab and really be sort of the flagship, I think, for our distribution centers. And so we're really excited about opening that up and having the industry come through. I think we're hosting some Fastener one-on-one sessions again this year, which is important for us. I think supporting the industry is something that we really want to stand behind. I came into this industry about 17 years ago, and it's amazing how quickly time flies. But this industry has really come to accept us. We're very appreciative of that, and we really want to be good citizens and support the health industry. So I think the education and supporting all the different groups, that's something that we look forward to doing every year.
Very good. You're talking about opening this new facility. You have a target date for that?
It should be in March.
March, okay.
So we're pretty much done with the expansion. I think a lot of it is just the cleanup. We're putting in the racking now in the expansion. But, we actually have a training center in there that we're hoping the industry utilizes. And we're starting to look around our closets, and we're going to put in a lot of things that, are historic to this industry, like just, like Cardex files and just, we're hoping to create sort of a museum, if you will. Mm-hmm. Not a full-on museum or call it a museum, but just in reference to where we came from, because so much of our industry came from the Midwest, is part of the Midwest. And, Brighton, our history has really been, we started in the Northeast, and we've also made quite a few acquisitions, and, all those companies have a story to tell. All those companies have a ton of history, and we just wanted to showcase it. And when people come into that training room, I hope they see that they're part of something. They're not just there to, take a class on fasteners, but, it's really part of the history, like 100-year history of this industry. And really, it's an industry that will be here for the next 100 years. I don't see how you can have anything built without fasteners. So it's a great industry to be part of, hoping that they feel a sense of community and that, and so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build that training room into not just the training room, but something that where new people can go in and really just get a feel that they're part of something much bigger.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a good industry to part of, lots of good history, and training is always important and always needed. So it's good to hear that you're doing that. I know the last episode of Fully Thread Radio training was a lot of the subject there as well. So good to hear. I also saw that you have a new catalog for your U.S. Anchor products, Tap King, Ultra Wedge. So looks like you're adding some stuff there as well.
Yeah, we're adding ranges all the time. We've been adding people, expertise, and not just in the U.S., but we're investing quite a bit into Australia as well. And we acquired a new facility in the U.K. So
you had some personnel announcements out there, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're really an international business, but our culture, our ethos, if you will, is consistent. We're the same Brighton Best anywhere we are. And that's important to us.
Well, you mentioned culture. You guys also know how to throw a good party. I know lots of people enjoyed the Brighton Best October Best Festival at IFE in Las Vegas last year. So thanks for doing that. I was one of the people who went to that, and a lot of people enjoyed that. Good job with that.
It's our pleasure to host that. It's been a tradition. We're thinking maybe we'll make some changes here and there to improve the experience, but it's something that we'll continue doing for sure.
Very good. Well, anything else to add as we wrap up?
I think we're good. We're in a good spot.
Good. Very good. Well, as always, it's good to have you on the program and sharing your insight, knowledge, and now some, different references or different metaphors for us to think about.
I'm all about metaphors.
I keep some of your old ones from other ones, the different buckets and things like that. Water thing, stepping on the gas and stepping on the brakes.
Yeah.
Good job with that. I appreciate it, and so do the listeners. So thanks again for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Thanks for having me again.
That was Jun Xu. He's the president of Brighton Best International. The FDI number for January 2024 was 49.7 versus 47.5 in December. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. Mido Company Limited, an international leader in the production of automotive fasteners, acquired Pilgrim Screw Corporation, which does business as Pilgrim Aerospace Fasteners. Pilgrim is a leading manufacturer of screws, bolts, rivets, clevis pins, and other fasteners for the aerospace market, with its manufacturing operations located in Chandler, Arizona, and a small office in Providence, Rhode Island. Pilgrim's customers include some of the world's biggest names in the aerospace industry. Mido, a third-generation company owned by the Hasegawa family in Japan, is the premier supplier of bolts to Toyota. The company has manufacturing plants in Japan, China, Indonesia, Thailand, and the USA, with more than 2,000 employees worldwide and revenues in excess of $1 billion. Yasutaka Hasegawa, the president and CEO of Mido, said, quote, "Pilgrim is a trusted supplier to the aerospace industry. This acquisition will allow us to diversify our business while furthering our mission of being the world's #1 fastener manufacturer," end quote. Jeff Grove, president of Pilgrim Aerospace Fasteners, added, quote, "Mido is a recognized leader in our industry, and we felt they were the right partner at the right time. With Mido's resources, Pilgrim will reach a new level of growth and success," end quote. Pilgrim established its Chandler operations in 1998, and there are currently 50 employees at the 24,500 square foot facility, and the property includes land for future growth. Chandler Mayor Kevin Hartke weighed in by saying, quote, "Chandler is a thriving hub for manufacturers of all types and sizes. Pilgrim has long been a key supplier within our regional economy, and we look forward to their continued growth in Chandler," end quote. Pilgrim was recognized recently as the Arizona Small Manufacturer of the Year by the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and the Arizona Manufacturers Council, and it will continue to be led by its existing leadership team. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In corporate news, Nylock opened a new facility in Mexico. Ramco added a new nut former at its Ohio location. Grainger is building a new distribution center in Texas. Hillman Solutions acquired Koch Industries. MSC acquired KAR Industrial. Fastenal Manufacturing's UK location received AS 9100 certification. And Navaco Rolling Mills filed an anti-dumping complaint on wire rod imports into Canada from China, India, and Vietnam. In personnel news, Optimus Solutions hired Jim Heller as its new Senior Vice President of Distribution and Chris Martins as the new Vice President of Manufacturing for the Americas. Suncor Stainless added Sam Pegram as Regional Account Sales Rep. Blackhawk Industrial promoted Trent Moss to the newly created position of Vice President of Sales East. And the Young Fastener Professionals Association, also known as YFP, elected Craig Beatty of B West Fasteners as its 2024 president, Christian Georgievsky of IFE Americas as vice president, Mallory Nichols of Advanced Components as its immediate past president, and Nihar Sinha of Ameristeel Fasteners was elected to the YFP Board of Directors to serve with Jake Glazer of Schurig Fastening Solutions and Zach Williams of Worth Revcor Fasteners. In milestone news, Solon Manufacturing is celebrating its 75-year anniversary this year, and the Hillman Group is celebrating its 60th anniversary. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International magazine and the Fastener News Report monthly newsletter, both available online at fastenertech.com. Now let's turn to the back page to talk about conferences at trade shows. Exhibits, networking, giveaways, and receptions usually get the most attention at Fastener trade shows, but I would like to shine a spotlight on the conference and education sections of these industry events. Over the years, I have learned a great deal of useful information from attending these sessions at various Fastener shows, and I'm sure that this is the case for attendees as well as for the presenters. In 2023, both Fastener Fair USA and the International Fastener Expo, also known as IFE, had good lineups of sessions, and in Las Vegas last year, some highlights for me included the introduction and acceptance speeches at the Hall of Fame and Young Fastener Professional Awards ceremony, Schurig's presentation on rivet nuts, Alox's talk on sci-fi technologies for distributors, and the panel sessions on mentorship, family succession planning, and adapting to changes in the fastener industry. I'm sure that upcoming 2024 events will have some excellent conferences, and IFE 2024 is currently calling on industry thought leaders and experts to share their insights, skill knowledge, and practical strategies in 30 and 45-minute session stage presentations, keynote speeches, and fireside chats. IFE has issued a call for speakers, and they are looking for cutting-edge content topics that solve today's biggest challenges in the fastener industry. Proposals are welcome from well-versed industry experts, as well as professionals just beginning to transition into leadership roles. All topics must be educational, provide actionable ideas, and must not violate the conference's no-pitch policy. The selected speakers will receive a complimentary badge for access to the welcome reception and the exhibit hall, industry exposure through event marketing, and recognition as a fastener industry leader. Potential speakers are invited to submit a proposal to join the IFE 2024 speaking faculty by going to the website fastenershows.com/conference/become-a-speaker. The deadline to submit a proposal is April 12, 2024. Check out page 1 of the February 19th Fastener News Report newsletter or page 26 of the February-March issue of Fastener Technology International magazine to get all the details. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Gerbil Fasteners is ISO 9001-2015 certified. All products are subject to quality assurance tests. The process is tracked from start to finish and then archived for future reference after production. All test reports are extensively detailed and available to all customers free of charge. Gerbil Fasteners, the leading rivet source.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. Quality software, affordable pricing, industry-leading support. Only InSequel can deliver all three. www.inxsql.com.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. BuckeyeFasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
Cut the no quotes out of the equation. Eurolink is your go-to resource for uncommon and hard-to-find metric fasteners that others can't even quote. Contact the sales team at EurolinkFSS.com and get your hard-to-find metric fasteners delivered.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with your Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from Carver Labs in beautiful El Cajon, California, and the Fastener Training Institute. Today's Fastener Training Minute comes from the other side of the world, at least the other side of the world from where I'm at. I'm in San Diego, and this Fastener Training Minute comes all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. And by way of that exchange, I just wanted to give you a reminder about some really good fastener technical resources, because this particular inquiry, we had some back and forth, and I'm going to read you the last line of the email from this gentleman, because one of the things I said to him was, how did you know to call me about this from South Africa? And he said this: lastly, I found the article on the FCH sourcing network that you wrote titled, "Do you torque the bolt or nut, and does it even matter?" and decided to reach out to you. I'm sure glad I did. my motto is follow where your curiosity leads. So I just wanted to remind you that the FCH Sourcing Network, fastenersclearinghouse.com, is a great technical resource. And there are over 100 fastener training minutes there that you can listen to and also read. So just wanted to throw that out there. So you'll notice from the sign off that my new friend from South Africa asked the question, do you torque the bolt or the nut, or does it even matter? And this is not the first time. It may not even be the second time we have addressed this on the Fastener Training Minute, but in the context, it's a little bit different. So when I come back, I'm going to share a few things about this particular application and something that kind of dovetails into it, which of course is the overall tightening strategy, which we have talked about many times in many contexts on the Fastener Training Minute. So stick around.
Thanks, Carmen. Well, hello, everybody. I am Jo Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. We're off to a brand new year, and it's a great time to invest in some fastener training. We have some wonderful training opportunities coming up, starting with geometric dimensioning and tolerancing for fasteners on February 19th and 20th. This is a co-produced event with the Industrial Fasteners Institute and will be held at their headquarters in Independence, Ohio. This is a 2-day interactive seminar and will educate students with the basic understanding of GTD, specifically related to its use on threaded fasteners. Then after that, we are headed to the West Coast. On March 7th, FTI will be presenting Understanding Fastener Strength and Hardness at the PacWest Tabletop and Spring Conference. This is going to be a free session. Yes, free presentation if you are registered to attend the tabletop or conference. Carmen Vertullo will instruct this class and teach the important relationship between strength and hardness in fastener materials. Also in March, we are presenting a brand new webinar series on fastener basics. You can grow from novice to knowledgeable. This is going to be a 4-part webinar series, and it will take students through the entire course with the convenience of logging in from absolutely anywhere. Topics will include drives, head styles, materials, how to call out parts, plus a whole bunch more. Then join us in Cleveland the week of April 8th through the 12th for Fastener Training Week. And I want to say a special thank you to Brighton Best International for letting us use their facility in Cleveland to host our class. Students will spend 5 intense days with us learning about fastener specifications, how to read prints, quality assurance systems, torque tension, certifications, test reports, and a whole bunch more. For more details about all of our classes, please visit fastenertraining.org. Now back to Carmen.
Quality products, quality service, quality customers. That's 3Q Inc., a fastener distributor unlike any you've worked with before. With its unique remote managed inventory stocking programs, wide array of secondary service offerings, and wholly owned cold forming capability, 3Q Inc. has been supporting fastener distributors since 2008. 3Q offers a wide range of 100% American-made fasteners, including ITW SEMS lock washers, as well as specialty and imported parts. Give 3Q a call today to discuss your needs and experience 3Q quality for yourself. 3Q Inc. www.3q-inc.com.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Today's topic is, do you torque the bolt or the nut, and does it even matter? And I got this question from a gentleman in South Africa, and he is assembling large carports with solar panels on top of them, and they come as a kit. And they use like M16, M20 size hardware with nylon insert lock nuts. It's all stainless steel. Not going to address that right now, but his question had to do with, should we torque the nut or the bolt when we're putting these assemblies together? Now, fortunately for this particular situation, which these questions, we don't always have this one resource, which I like to call an authoritative citation. The IFI, the Industrial Fasteners Institute, has a document written many years ago by Joe Greenslade that addresses this very issue. If you want that document, you can go to the IFI and buy it, or just call me and I'll give you my version of it. Now, that's obviously a variable in the assembly process. We're going to do this thing. This guy's going to tighten the bolt. This guy's going to tighten the nut. By that, we mean which is going to be the held component and which is going to be the turned component. And that matters because that turned component has a bearing surface which has friction, which greatly impacts the torque tension relationship. Does it matter that much? Well, and I'm going to read you exactly what I wrote to this gentleman. I said, all things being equal, a rigid joint, parallel surfaces, hard washers, same bearing surface area, same coating or lubricant. And by the way, adding a lubricant or friction control coating is an excellent way to control the K-factor variable. All that being equal, I say I would standardize on tightening the nut and use a short socket if possible. Okay, the reason I say the short socket is I saw a photograph of his situation. The bolt was much too long. It had a couple of diameters of thread sticking out, and that's a waste of a bolt length. But he says we use the same bolt length so we don't have to worry about people using the wrong bolt somewhere. So some are too long. But you have to use a deep socket. And that deep socket can be a variable on the torque wrench as well. So we use the word variable, which is the very important word, because in the manufacturing world, as a manufacturing engineer, and then there's a subset of manufacturing engineering called process engineering, our job is to identify all the variables in a process, whether it's a cold heading process, a machining process, a plating process, a heat treating process, even the testing procedure. Identify all the variables, eliminate anything that you can eliminate, and control what you can't eliminate. That way, if you ever do have a problem, you don't have so many different things to ask questions about, and it's much less likely that you are going to have a problem because there's not a lot that can go wrong because you've eliminated all that stuff or as much of it as you can. So sometimes the best reason, sometimes the only reason, but it could be the best reason, to do something the same way all the time is to eliminate the variable that can occur when you do it a different way, and now you have to wonder, did that different way cause a different outcome when I'm trying to troubleshoot a problem? So back to this tightening strategy, they use torque wrenches. And going further, I advised him, and now we're going to segue into another topic that we have discussed before on the Fastener Training Minute. Another method of achieving consistent tension is the torque angle method, where we don't use the torque wrench as our final tightening strategy. We use it as an initial tightening strategy to get us snug tight, which you probably could do that without a torque wrench in this application because it's highly controlled and pretty well engineered. And then we turn the fastener a certain number of degrees or wrench flats or wrench corners to achieve the desired tension. So how do we know how many degrees or wrench flats to turn it? Well, we know that because we're going to do an experiment in our Skidmore Wilhelm bolt tension calibrator to determine how many degrees we're going to turn it. And this is a very common procedure used on structural job sites where we have structural steel held together with structural bolts. And we have to do that down on the ground in the Skidmore. And that informs the installer how to install the fastening up in the steel. It's a very, very good method. I highly recommend it. And it's easy to learn and it's easy to train for. And as far as having a torque wrench or using a torque wrench, there are so many variables that make torque not the most reliable method for achieving a given amount of tension. So 2 things today I hope you learned. Well, 3 actually. 1, it really doesn't matter, all things being equal, whether you tighten the head of the bolt or the nut. Number 2, eliminate all the variables that you can in any given manufacturing or assembly operation. The ones you can't eliminate, you should control. So sometimes the best reason to do something the same way all the time is it eliminates a variable. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, remember that you have a great technical resource in the FCH network and use it. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's Fastener Training Minute. This has been Carmen Vertullo. Thanks for listening.
Hello, this is Tim O'Keefe with GL Hewitt. You're listening to the world's leading source of information on the fastener industry, the Fully Threaded Radio Podcast.
Talking with Jason Baines, Jay Lanfranco. Hey, brother, been a while.
It's been far too long. How you doing, Eric?
Well, keeping it together for the moment. It's always good to catch you, and we've been threatening to put a segment together for a while, and we're both going in different directions all the time, so I'm glad we're able to get this one going. You wanted to talk about fasteners, I heard.
Yeah, we dabble in it sometimes, so thought it could be an appropriate topic for someone like you.
Well, for folks who might remember when you appeared back on episode blah, 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 I don't know which one it was. It was a while back. You were kind of breaking out with Jay Lanfranco. Refresh everyone's memory what you guys are all about.
We're mostly about lock nuts. We're a manufacturer of imperial and metric all metal lock nuts, and we top out at M60 or 2.5 inch. And we're a European origin company, but we've been in North America since the mid '90s and been operating in the U.S. since that time. And then 2018, just before COVID, we got Lanfranco USA going, and so we service anything that's heavy industries, safety critical. People need high quality, high performance lock nuts. We get into that, and then we source or try and fabricate parts to plan and things that folks aren't going to find elsewhere. We kind of like the weird stuff sometimes as well, and we like to have fun doing it. And
Understatement.
Yeah, some people don't like our little squirrel that says "I really love my nuts," but most people love having that hoodie. So that's us.
Come on, Jason. Everybody loves it.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, we just heard about the FDI those were the January numbers, and it was pretty positive news overall. I mean, let's face it, the market's not going gangbusters, but we're moving in the right direction. Did you see that for the last month? I mean, has that been your experience in your markets?
Yeah, we're continuing strong. I know when we last spoke, or when we first spoke, I told you we were, a little bit slow. We felt there was a lag for our business throughout COVID, but that we fully expected that as others started to slow down, we'd pick up. We do a lot of infrastructure. So that's exactly what happened. 2023 was great. And we see, Q1 2024 following through. And we're pleased with everything and just trying to keep up with it all.
You were expecting to see a lot of government projects, weren't you? Did that ever come through? I mean, is the money faucet turned on up there?
The projects are starting up. Yeah, so we did. That's exactly what happened, both on the Canadian and U.S. side. Those infrastructure projects, as you try and get money out through the government, it's like pouring water through a sponge, and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And when it does come out, though, then it's all decks on hand. And so that's what we've been rushing around for. A lot of pressure on the supply chain in terms of raw material. There's a big focus on domestically made parts now, more and more. And so we can see that despite all the efforts being made, sometimes you just can't get material out from the mills quickly enough. And so that's our job, to get those buys in ahead of time and try and stay on top of it. But yeah, there was tremendous demand, and now the biggest challenge we see for those end users is for them to construct. And so we certainly expect that this is going to continue. A lot of that money took a long time to get going, and now that machine is up and running, we're expecting 2024 and into 2025 to be solid, and then hopefully beyond is looking promising for the spaces we work in, anyways.
Right. So you know a lot about trains in your business, right? I don't know if we mentioned that again, but you're selling into railroads, and it takes a while to get that locomotive going, right? But once it's heading down the track, it's kind of like driving one of those giant Winnebagos.
It's well, absolutely, yeah. It takes a while to get going. Yeah, we do a lot of the railroad stuff, and then other heavy industries like mining. So all of those businesses are going now, right? You see money going into that, and those heavy industries are always the backbone of the North American economy. So when times get tough, typically you see investment there, and we've got mining customers, right, who produce equipment for exploration and whatnot. So people get scared. We're even seeing that picking up. So railroads, mining, anything infrastructure related, and if you're involved with mining related to things like getting everything that's needed for EVs, right? Like that's there's a lot happening there. It may not all be happening right now, but it's certainly in process. So yeah, I feel we're in a good space, and we're on a real good path. And there's I think more and more people are looking to get stuff onshored and have those good quality parts from manufacturers who can deliver in a number of weeks rather than 6 months, 10 months, or we've just seen that it can be a bit of a challenge. So yeah, so far so good.
Well, that's kind of a neurotic area right now, though, that whole EV market, don't you think? I mean, I'm sure you saw this headline out of Volvo, and you just see these headlines popping up more and more, this resistance to EV, and people are kind of questioning it. I mean, are you catching that up there?
For sure. But, what's happening is that from a governmental point of view, certainly in Canada, the current government has gone all in on EV. And so the amount of subsidies that are being handed out to create these battery plants and whatnot are so substantial that they're going ahead, whether the public is getting behind it or not. They're actively and forcefully legislating a lot of these, these moves toward EV. Now, I don't think any of them. It doesn't matter where you fall on the EV. This is not an environmental debate. The fact is, we don't have the grid. We can't produce enough vehicles. People can't afford them. So the Canadian government has set out very aggressive targets, which I don't think are based in reality. If you talk to people on the ground and in the know, but they're going ahead anyway. So you've got at this point, we're subsidizing one plant at the tune of $15 billion. And there's another plant, of course, that we're going to be subsidizing. So when you have that amount of money going in, for sure there's going to be opportunities around it. Now, whether or not the public actually gets on board at this point, the money is going to be spent. So it's going to create opportunity. The question is, when does the opportunity get created? Canada, for instance, has good lithium reserves. We've got nickel. We've got everything we need to do this. The question becomes: is the government going to permit these projects to the extent where we, when do we see that economic windfall? And I think it's a very similar thing in the U.S. So, are we going to import or are we going to do it domestically? Where, we I think, like everybody, we really want to see it done domestically, and time will tell. So there certainly are opportunities, but are they fully realized right now? No. Am I driving an EV? Absolutely not. I just picked up a V8 Wagoneer, and I love it, and it gets me where I need to go because I live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, well, you're not telling me anything that I'm surprised by here, Jason.
No,
No, seriously, hang on. I mean, I realize fully that these guys in these ivory towers are fully invested in the idea, but it's withering on the vine because it's not realistic. I mean, it's just not. So my question is, how long does it take before these systems that are in motion, are going to crash into reality? And I mean, how does that look to you? You see it.
I think for us, it really in Canada, it's a little bit maybe different than the U.S. because of how our government is structured. So, as long as we have a majority Liberal government who is the government that's really behind this and subsidizing it, as long as they maintain a majority in our parliament, we have a parliamentary system, then they'll continue to put money into this regardless. And the question becomes, so it's going to come up to the voter. But there's been so much money put in. And I only say this because in the province of Ontario, we have an incredible amount of debt. We have the highest per capita debt in Canada, in the province of Ontario. And we bankrupted ourselves putting in or subsidizing solar panels about 15 years ago. So we've demonstrated that even though something's not commercially viable and it can't power our grid, that we will sink the money into it and go ahead regardless. So that may be unpopular with some people listening to this, but I mean, I live here. I've seen it. We have the highest energy costs now in North America because we're subsidizing these artificial rates that were guaranteed to the solar developers. So we've demonstrated that that's something we're fully capable of doing, subsidizing and going through with a project that's not viable really in any way. So we'll see. For me, it's really comes down to politics up here. But most Canadians, like most Americans, are not going to be able to afford an EV. We also have to think about how the hell do we recycle these batteries. We've got a lot of, we're looking at what's in front of us today, but I think the real question is, where is the end of life? How do we deal with end of life cycle on these products, whether it be windmill blades, solar panels, or lithium batteries, right? But it's not a very enjoyable conversation for some people to have today, but we should have it. And then we do a lot of oil and gas. So of course we're going to be pro energy, but what we see from those industries is that they're being very progressive on carbon capture technology and trying to get better. And I don't know. Sometimes I think if we looked at what's the net impact, I don't know. I just look at what the lithium production in Bolivia and Peru are doing to the people who live down there, and I don't know if we're a world community, if that really is the best solution for all stakeholders. If we're buying into this, we're a community of one. So. Yeah, my opinions are not always popular at the Thanksgiving table with my family because they live in downtown Montreal. And
that's all right. They probably don't listen to the podcast, Jason.
You know what? They probably don't. Now that you've sunk me with the family, Eric, and
you'll be all right. Don't worry.
Alienated everybody.
You'll be all right. You come on over to my place, have some brisket.
Deal.
Yeah. Well, speaking of downstream effects of some of these off the rail kinds of business ideas that, really, well, I shouldn't say business ideas, but these technologies that are clearly nonsensical and we're going full steam ahead. How about this for another sideline? I'm sure you might have seen that headline that came out recently about the EV pickups and the SUVs going right through the guardrails. There's a whole market right there for you, these enhanced guardrails on highways and stuff. Go after that one, buddy.
Well, they are heavier vehicles, right?
Yeah, they're going through them like, they're aluminum cans.
Well, you've got, that's a whole other kettle of fish, but they're heavier. They wear the roads quicker. You go through your tires quicker. We've got a mechanic, ex-mechanic on staff here. And so he's got a whole set of opinions on this. And I listened to him and I didn't realize how bloody heavy these things are. And, there's unforeseen consequences to everything we do. But I may be tied up right now. I'll get on the guardrails as soon as I have a free moment, Eric. Okay, put it on my to-do list.
Well, I know you got a lot going on. You always do. Hey, we always find things to discuss, and you've got a lot of things that we have talked about in the past. But before we hopped on this one, or before we turned on the recorder, you were telling me about a change of life that you're going through right now involving the move from your four-wheel life, shall we say, into more of a traditional house. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, like everybody, I discovered a few years ago the convenience of living on a house on wheels, and so now I'm going back into a traditional home. But yeah, I mean, the story goes, Jason lived in a beautiful, large 5-bedroom, 3-bath farmhouse that I had lovingly restored, and unfortunately, when you do that, and you come to the realization that you and your partner are no longer compatible, but you've got a great kid and you're great friends. I want stability for my kids, so we had a rental on the same property, this 30-acre property. And what I did was leave the home, and that way my daughters got the same environment, which is so important. And I've talked to some of some of our contemporaries at the shows. I'm kind of an open book, and you connect with certain people. And I've, shared this story, and I moved into a mobile home on wood blocks at the other end of my property, and I've been living there for 3.5 years, and it's it shakes in the wind, and I've done all the things. If you're in a mobile home long term, you put a metal roof on, you put siding, you insulate as best you can, you put some new flooring in. And you get the hair dryer out, and you get underneath and you unfreeze your pipes, and you're constantly fighting the critters trying to get underneath the skirt of the mobile home. But I discovered you got the same quality sunset.
You got to get
there.
all the cats out from under there.
Well, there were cats when I moved in. There was a raccoon. There was a weasel in there. I ripped it all out, built it up, and you still get to enjoy the same sunset. I'm right by the house. I get my kid on the bus every day. And then after, I've got like the world's smallest barbecue from Walmart out on this little deck I made. And it's been an awesome place. You just live at the office, then you go home, you can barbecue. I got a record player, and of course, probably I got a vehicle that's worth more than the mobile home. But it's been a great lifestyle. And then eventually this house came up, and I said, maybe I'm ready for a house that's not on wheels. And that's it. So I'm going to have a place where I too can have a full size smoker, and I won't have to have the blow dryer and the little space heater to keep my pipes from freezing. And hopefully, there's not going to be any raccoons or cats getting in. But yeah, it's been a heck of a ride, and it's been, I think it's been good. It gives you a lot of perspective, and it just reinforces that the most important thing is the people within the walls, right? And if you have good relationships at work where we spend a lot of time, that's helpful. And I got to tell you, I've told this story to a couple of folks at the show that you kind of develop a friendship with. And at first you're a little, it was hard to tell people that, hey, I've, been divorced, and there's people I respect in the industry, and they seem so, they seem like they've got it all together. And then you share with people, and everybody was so supportive. And just, the fact that I'm there for my daughter, and I just can't thank everybody enough, because it took me from feeling, bad that I've moved out of this place, because I've got the same job and same company and everything. And then you feel like, geez, these are like salt of the earth people. That's the best thing about, our business, is it's salt of the earth people. And they've been super supportive. And, I won't say who, but somebody was talking to, and I had tears in my eyes, and they were so supportive. And then they gave me, the little T-shirt to work out in, to dry my eyes out on, and everything.
Oh.
And they said, if you're down in South Carolina, you can come see our new warehouse. We'll see if anybody can guess who that was. But good people all over. And yeah, so I'm going to keep the mobile home though, because I think it's the coolest bachelor pad.
That's going to be the man cave going forward, is it?
Yeah, if they ever let you into the country up here, that's where you can go.
Well, that's debatable if that'll ever happen. But hey, the trailers, that's not in a park then. That's just a standalone in a forest somewhere. I mean, I'm imagining almost like sort of a Northwoods version of Jim Rockford's pad. If you remember,
you got to think more. This is in the middle of a farmer's field. I'm right by a muddy creek, and I just got cash crops behind me, so it'll rotate between corn or soy. Right now, it's alfalfa this summer. We just seeded it for alfalfa, so I got in the fall I'll get geese and ducks coming in on the creek, and so it's like flat open sky. So when the wind howls, I mean, it really howls, and it's nothing so romantic as a forest setting. It's about 3/4 of a mile from a big truck stop. And so that's where I go to, like, if I'm short on something, I can go to Herb's. You can look up Herb's online, and I just go right there and I can get everything I need. They got a restaurant. If my pipes freeze and I can't take a shower, they got a shower there for the truckers. And it's been, if it's been super convenient, and my
Sounds
daughter's
convenient.
there with me
Wow.
half the time. So you go sit at the counter at Herb's and you order breakfast or whatever, and she's been as happy as a pig in what.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what an existence. I didn't realize all that. You hadn't painted all the details in for me. So you were doing all this as an unexpected kind of a detour in your world, and then it turned into, what you said, 3.5 years?
Yeah, 3.5 years. And it's been, and I mean, we're blabbering on about this, but I'm sure other people go through this too, and you got to keep work up, and, life doesn't stop because your personal life falls apart.
You know what you mean.
And so, got in there but I see I see my ex-wife every morning. I mean, you have a kid and you get along and you do what's best for the kid, and we really respect each other. And then you know what, it was made easier because, like I say, you go to a show and you got a heavy heart, and we end up seeing everybody all the time, and you connect with certain people, and I'm just the type to get it out, right? Better to get it out than keep it in. And man, are people so supportive and positive, and it made a huge difference. And then of course your coworkers in the office, these people work for me, but we've got these relationships, and you count on them as well, to support you in different ways, and then you hope you can do the same back for them one day.
Right. You hit it on the head. I mean, this is that kind of industry. You're doing some stuff over at J. Lanfranco right now with your small crew that, it's definitely par for this course that we're on, because you're down a key man right now, and everybody's doing what they have to do just to keep things running, right?
Yeah, for sure. We lost a couple of people. Some people moved on, others, moved out of the country. So we were already short staffed, and we've been trying to hire, but our key guy does all our inspections and runs our warehouse for us. He's kind of, jack of all trades. And this guy who was a mechanic for years, and we're so lucky to have him. But, just same old, working all the time, doesn't get time for the doctor. And unfortunately, he had to go in a couple of weeks ago to the emergency room, and they finally checked him out. And he's got a big battle ahead of him with pancreatic cancer. And
geez.
It's we all know what that means, but you want to stay positive. And so he we feel kind of like just been sucker punched, and this guy's just the best guy in the world. You always hear that, but I'll tell you that keeping true. I think we talked about this during COVID, or other people probably talked about it. How do you keep your team engaged? How do you retain good talent, good employees? How do you make them feel valued? And this all goes together. One, as human beings, we should want to do the right thing. And two, when you've got your team all pulling in the same direction, it's like a force multiplier. And right now I've got everybody working nights, weekends, and they just want to cover whatever this guy does. They want to cover it for him right now. And there's only so much your benefits package can take up, and they're like, no, we're going to pull together. He's full payroll for us, and because that's one stress he doesn't need now. And it's so hard to navigate all of these avenues, and you get questions answered for well, what does the government cover? Our healthcare up here is supposed to be nationalized and provided by the government, but there are a lot of holes within it. So we want to make sure that he doesn't get lost in any of those alleyways, and has any kind of a lapse in coverage or financial assistance. And so everybody pulled together to cover for him. It's super inspirational. And I feel very blessed to be able to work with these people. And what I would say is, and we have such good leaders in this industry, but all of those little things you do, a little team barbecue, team activities, taking the time to, have a coffee with your employees, and all of these things that we talk about team building, and it seems a little abstract. When you see it go into action, a team of our size, this could really be devastating for us, but people have trained to be able to cover in different areas. And so we're not skipping a beat right now. And it's a powerful thing. I think we're going to come out of this, and we're going to be an even more dynamic and galvanized, team and company. So all of those things, that they're topics that we don't often give a lot of attention to, or we don't put a lot of weight behind them. But I think that there's the human payoff, which, we should all care about. But I think there's a real benefit to the company when you do it right. And so, those are conversations we should all have. And then, going just from an HR point of view, man, this was an eye opener, because, people look at these different coverages that are available in different benefits packages. And you don't always give it deep thought and analysis.
Right. Well, there's too much to absorb. I mean, they've overwhelmed us with red tape and stuff. I mean, that's why you need a whole department just to figure it out.
Yeah, and so in these cases, all of a sudden, we've got a great person here, Miria, and she's been wonderful navigating all of this and just trying to help out where she can. But we made sure, hey, we got in touch with our benefits provider and let's look everything over, because you never know. So like it's that same thing you always say, right? I guess to sum it up, make sure hug your kids, tell them you love them. Spend time with friends, and enjoy the people you work with, and make a good work environment for your employees. Like they're here all the time, and we're as business owners, as corporations, we're the beneficiary of what they're doing, and so they take care of us, we take care of them, and it's just been another thing we weren't expecting, but. I'll tell you what, I'm sure glad that when Christmas came, I pulled the trigger and made sure we did this giant Christmas party with too much food, way too big of a Christmas tree. If anybody saw us on LinkedIn, we had like the Griswold family Christmas tree. And this guy's the one who went and cut it. He cut like a 24-foot tree in the middle of the forest and brought it back. We got like a 16-foot trailer we can hook up to one of the pickups. And this was loaded up. We needed the forklift to stand it up. We needed ratchet straps to keep it up. And I always say, is it worth spending this much money on the Christmas party every year and bringing the casino in? Our casino is not as big as some of the other fastener companies that I see out there, but we have a hell of a time with a casino and all of this buffet. And the answer is a resounding yes. It is absolutely worth it. And so we're going to work through that. And I know other companies are doing it too. And you know what? We all just keep doing our best, and thank God we're in an industry with people who genuinely care and go out of their way to give to their colleagues and fellow man.
100%. Well, God bless your man down and you for doing everything you can to take care of him. Appreciate that a lot. And I know that the thoughts and prayers of the audience and the industry are with you guys. Hey, what's going on over there at Lanfranco? What are you keeping your eye on right now as we kind of wrap up here?
Well, for us, we had a big year in 2023. We did our first, we really got behind our first U.S. Production. So we did, depending on what infrastructure projects you do and how they're funded, you've got what's called a Buy America requirement. So you have different legislation. Buy America is the one where you have to have 100% U.S. steel, and you're going to make the part in the U.S. And so that was a vision of mine when long time ago when I came on board with Lanfranco. I always wanted to be able to fabricate in the U.S. and we had an opportunity to do that, and so we've made it happen. It's not been, I tell our guys guys and girls at the factory, we got a factory in France, of course. I tell them, guys, like I take my hat off to you, because once you're getting the material out of a mill and you're trying to get everything through, you have so many little things that can slow you down, right? And production is never fast enough, but we did it. So that's the big project and accomplishment we had, is moving a lot of material and making a lot of material. And so it's something that we're exceedingly proud of. I started going to the U.S. as a kid. When I was 4 years old, my dad's boss would invite us down sometimes. They had a cottage and were gracious enough to, my parents didn't have any money for that. And I started going to Plattsburgh, New York, and fell in love with everything about Ponderosa Steakhouse. And thought this is the greatest thing ever. And so then, you start working for a company, spending a lot of time in the U.S. And so we wanted to, I always wanted to bring us there. So we've done that, and it's ongoing. So we have those capabilities now, and we want to expand upon it. And then, we've got a lot of new products we're working on. So we're making a big push right now to work on fastening systems for, interiors of buses and trains, as well as, the big composite pieces that get attached on the outside of them. We've got some really innovative products that we've been developing and having a lot of success with in Europe. Now we're bringing them over here, and it's all about streamlining integration of these components from subcontractors. So that's a big initiative that we're taking on. And then I think our big thing that we continue to work on has been through all of these shows, Fastener Fairs coming up in May, but getting out there, and we really want to further increase our relationships and presence in business with distributors. That's our main goal. Is we want to bring our products to market through distributors, and so going to all of these shows and participating in all the various organizations, we've met more and more distributors, and it's always about finding the match between what we produce and have on the shelf and what their customers need. Slowly but surely, people are getting to know us, and we're finding those matches here and there, and that's super exciting because we've predominantly been a company that focuses on specific end users and fixing their problem, and then we then integrate with whomever their VMI provider is, and now we have a big enough offering and enough stock in North America where we feel like it's very appropriate to go and meet with all these other distributors, and man, they're fantastic people. I was in Vegas, and you can walk up to just about anybody and introduce yourself, and they don't tell you to go fly a kite, right? They've got time for you, and so I think those are the three big things that we've been working on and continue to work on, and we'll be doing more of it come this May.
We will see you there. Fastener Fair USA is right down the road, and I believe your booth is going to be right near the FCH Sourcing Network booth, so we'll get to catch up quite a bit more.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we were going to be beside the celebrities so that we can pick up your table scraps, right? Anybody you don't have enough time for, we'll take care of them.
We'll slide them right over, Jason.
Oh, you know what I forgot, Eric, because my kid tells me I'm forgetful all the time. The other thing is I forgot probably the biggest bloody thing we're doing now is we're implementing an entire new ERP, right? So we're doing, we've been working, with Lonnie and Lyndon over at SmartCert, and we're looking for how do we streamline. So I don't know if I can plug anybody, but if, we're very excited to work with our ERP people, and you know who they are. Everybody knows who they are, but I don't know if I can plug them, but I'd love to, but I don't want to overstep my boundaries on your show.
Well, I think I'd be glad to know that you guys are working within SQL, which is exactly what you should be doing.
Oh, okay. I haven't been on enough with you, so I forgot how it works. But
No, I caught up with that. I didn't know if you were going to let that one out, so good for you guys. So in SQL and SmartCert, it's a great combo.
No, we're super excited. I mean, we've been really happy with everything. We're looking to, we probably should have done this a couple of years ago, but yeah, we're moving ahead now. We're super excited, a little bit scared because it's so many more things than we're used to, but you can't let fear hold you back. And it feels like we've got the right team who's going to, hold our hand and bring us forward and make it as painless as possible. So that's probably the biggest project in Q1 for us, or towards the end of Q1. So I'm either going to roll into Cleveland a nervous wreck after all of this training, or I'm going to roll in so relaxed because everything's just running smooth.
Yeah, well, we'll take either way. We'll fix you up. So, hey, let me ask you this before you split. What was it that allowed you to turn the corner on this? Obviously, ERP is a big thing. It's scary for everybody. But what was it that made you turn the key on that?
For us, it's about having more of a seamless integration. So the quality part for us is huge. All of our customers use us in safety critical applications. So we have full lot traceability, everything that goes out. We've got to attach those mill reports, all the mechanical testing. And so we were already working with SmartCert. We liked how seamless that part was going to be. And then when we got in touch with the InSQL folks, it seemed to be once we get it up and running, it consolidates everything we needed into one area, from our shipping and picking and packing, and it provides us, I think, a lot more visibility than we have. So we're trying to juggle a lot of balls because we've got US We got office and warehouse in Canada, warehousing in the U.S., some production there, as I said, and then we've got the big hub in Europe. And you're trying to coordinate those 3 sites. And then you've got, of course, different vendors you're going to source from. So this lets us take care of the customer side, but then also have visibility of what's happening on the supply and side coming out of production. So I think it was just having everything in one spot. And the big thing that you always come down to is the people behind it, right? At the end of the day, you can have the best tool, the best whatever. If you don't have the right person behind it, it's not going to be a success. And so ultimately, it's the people behind it, Rob and all of his team. And so when I sat down with them, they were thorough, they were transparent, and they were very thoughtful and deliberate in the answers they provided us to our questions. And that was, I've had a couple of bad experiences before signing on for big, expensive software. And so having learned from that, I wanted to really vet everything. And, they had well-researched answers and transparency. I keep coming back, mentioning it again. It's so key. So, we know exactly what to expect, even down to what the implementation process is. And what do we need to run this? How do we get it set up and running properly? And they seem to have a really wonderful network of people they've put us in touch with. So, that was it. If I have to distill it down to one thing, it will be the team behind that ERP. You've got to put your confidence in people. So, yeah, that's what I'm banking on anyways.
No, we'll take it. You did well. Jason Baines, you're with Lanfranco. Again, you're going to be in Fastener Fair in Cleveland in May, so we could talk more then. And anybody hit him up at his booth, which will be right next door to FCH Sourcing Network. Hard to believe we blew through 40 minutes or so here, Jason, but we did, and we'll cut it there. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, I appreciate that, Eric. You guys are always a pleasure to hang out with.
Jason Baines. He will be back with more Fully Threaded.
Precision, efficiency, durability. Lanfranco has been a trusted name for the finest locknuts worldwide and across North America for over 40 years. Lanfranco keeps projects on track, on time, and on budget, providing self-locking locknuts and critical bolting components for applications in aerospace, energy, military, rail, mining, industrial, and many other sectors where reliability and high performance are essential. Learn more about Lanfranco online at www.jlanfranco.com, and don't miss our booth at Fastener Fair USA. Lanfranco, locknuts for critical bolted joints.
Are you in the fastener industry and looking for the latest technologies and products? Then you need to be at Fastener Fair USA. This premier event takes place May 22nd and 23rd at the Huntington Convention Center in Cleveland, Ohio. Meet with leading manufacturers and suppliers, learn about new innovations and trends, and network amongst friends at our opening night party at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Don't miss out on this opportunity to take your business to the next level. Learn more at fastenerfairusa.com. See you in May.
At Star Stainless, the sum of all we do is what we consider star quality. It's not just the quality of the products or the service we offer, but the overall approach to the way we do business. Star Stainless Screw Company is a division of Linfast Solutions Group.
This is George Hunt III from Brighton Best International, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
So, Brian, I went out to the Lanfranco website at jlanfranco.com because I knew, or I thought I knew, that they had a squirrel somehow connected to their logo. Jason's always making all these comments, these nut jokes and things. And so I knew there was a squirrel involved. Sure enough, if you go to their webpage, there's an icon there with a squirrel on it on the Nut Jobs page. And if you click on that, you'll see that that's the name of the group that they have for their corporate social responsibility. And they do some very interesting things with the nut jobs. So,
okay.
Never fail to take the opportunity to add some humor to things. Glad we could have Jason Baines, J. Lanfranco on the podcast today.
Yeah.
And we'll thank our other guests also, Chris McCaffrey with Atlanta Rod, who's mostly responsible for this whole squirrel theme today. And of course, Jun Xu with Brighton Best International joined Mike McNulty today. Appreciate that very much. Not sure exactly what was going on with the audio during that recording process. It wasn't the strongest. I think you got your message across, but next time we do this, we'll have to we'll have to look and see what's going on with that. But thanks for being here. And of course, Carmen Vertullo had the Fastener Training Minute.
All right.
The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, tested, tried, true, Brighton Best, Goebel Fasteners, quality the first time, Go Goebel, Star Stainless Screw, right off the shelf. It's Star. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, J. Lanfranco, Parker Fasteners, Solution Industries, 3Q Inc., Volt Industrial Plastics, Fastener Fair USA, and Worth Industry North America. We couldn't do it without you. We appreciate it so much. And we appreciate each and every one of you listening into the podcast. Please let us know what you think. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. So we've kind of sailed through the Brian and Eric segments of this one, Bri, and you weren't really able to sit in on the features this time just because there's so many things that we're trying to put to rest here. But I think it was a pretty good episode, and maybe this is just another reason why people are really urging us to use AI to get all this done.
So you don't have to always rely on a person like me.
Yeah, all juggling all this stuff, It makes me think, last week I had the chance to sit in on this most of the day long MDM AI conference.
Yep.
And right in the middle of the day, the keynote, I guess you could say, Mike Hockett interviewed Endries International CEO Michael Knight, who's been on the podcast before.
Right.
And most of the conference was kind of how-to and hands-on, but Michael was really thinking about things in kind of almost a big picture philosophical way. And he spent his half hour, I think, really opening a lot of eyes into the ramifications of AI. And I learned a lot during the whole day, but I really enjoyed listening to his segment.
Well, I'm sure he has thought about it plenty, okay? It's just a matter of time. I mean, somewhere there'll be an app that is, basically is one of these things you can't possibly live without in the world of fasteners.
Well, the theme of the conference was AI in distribution. And this is a theme that's going to be repeated and repeated and repeated as people start understanding this, but also because things are developing so quickly. On this one of the aspects that I was unfamiliar with that I learned about is the Microsoft Copilot platform. And believe me, I'm no advocate for Microsoft in particular, but what they were showing in some of the capabilities of this thing and its ability to use just enterprise data as opposed to going out and looking at all the OpenAI platform and stuff like that. It was, I don't know, for me, I hadn't thought of it quite that way before. So I think that technologies like this, as they become more widely understood, I think you're right. They're going to be helping us, and I'm excited by it, actually.
Yes, in fact, it's interesting for us is that, our Eric and my last nearly 20 years of involvement in the IT industry, I guess you'd say, or related things, is in a world that is separated from Microsoft. We were in the IBM world, and they've sort of come together because they're both part and parcel of these AI developments, probably more so Microsoft at the moment. But IBM's deep work at the moment is in the quantum computers. But in the end, they all work in the same things. The quantum computers are there to try and make this AI happen much, much, much faster.
Well, one of the presenters early on in the conference pointed out that a lot of the concepts behind this technology have been around for many, many years. The reason that it's taking off so rapidly now is because the processing capability is enabling all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So some of the visionaries are long gone, actually. And boy, if they could see us now.
Yeah.
It's H.G. Wells stuff on steroids.
Right.
Anyway, for the next 60 days, depending on when you're hearing this podcast, over at mdm.com, you can get the conference on demand. It's free. And again, they said about 60 days. So should be, many of you will be able to check that out if you need to or you want to.
Well, you should want to. And it's all you got to do is sit down, get yourself a beverage and sit and watch it. It takes a while, but you get a very interesting, not so high level view of just things that you can do and how to do them even now.
Next episode, we're going to have Fastenal CFO Holden Lewis joining Mike McNulty to talk over whatever happens on the FDI next time. And I'm going to ask Mike to slip in an AI question with Holden to see if he has anything in his pocket about that one. You never know.
Well, that's sort of nasty. He must have been prepared for it.
He's a trained professional, Bri. I have complete faith in Holden.
Okay.
And I have complete faith that you folks have enjoyed this episode of Fully Threaded Radio, and we hope that you'll join us again next time.
Yeah, we do.
It's going to put this one in the can.
It's been fun. See you next time, okay?
For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, ask ChatGPT if you're not sure how to do that. And we'll talk to you next time.
Right.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse.
Well, it looks as if our time has just about run out.
Mine must be a little slow.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle?
All on this itty-bitty card. Oop!